Hey guys, welcome back to another stream. We are back with the writing of the spooky stories and all that stuff. I hope y'all are having a good day so far. Mine's been fairly productive. I've had a bit of a chill week so far this week. So today was basically my most productive day, which is kind of sad, but it is what it is. I've been focusing more on getting applications and whatnot in, and less on like the housework and stuff. But today I did a bunch of housework, mostly because I'm not feeling good, and I figure doing housework will help me feel better. So yeah, that's just a little bit about me currently. Hope y'all are doing well. And so before we jump into the writing, I am going to go ahead and give my usual caveats, or my usual disclaimers. After your pre-roll ads, you will see, excuse me. Excuse me and sorry. I'm going to push my microphone away so that it won't be so loud next time. Let me know if it makes it difficult to actually hear me though. But yeah. Excuse me. Oh, I forgot what I was going to say. Oh yeah, so after the pre-roll ads on Twitch, there will be there'll be another set of ads after about 30 minutes, and then from there on it'll be every hour. Because I'm starting so late, I don't know if we'll actually get that second set of ads, to be quite honest. So it might just be the two, so it just might be the pre-roll set, the one set, and then at the end of the stream when I set up the offline screen, there will be about 3 minutes worth of ads on Twitch, just so you guys are aware and understand. YouTube, you guys don't get any ads, at least on the live stream, so enjoy. And as always, if you want to support me in other ways other than through ads, I do have a Ko-fi page where you can support me in any number of ways. I don't have the bandwidth right now to talk about all of that, but it involves donations, Photoshop, a shop of photos rather, just a few, and things like that. But today we are, today, just like the rest of the last couple weeks, we're going to go ahead and get back to writing. So let's go ahead and get back to the story. Last we left off, I think it's obvious, but Emily's having another nightmare. A massive head swung through the air, aiming directly around Emily, aiming down toward Emily. And next chapter. Chapter 19. It's good to know. Mary Jo spoke into the phone. Relief coating her voice. Relief coating her voice as she paced around the kitchen, moving from oven to sink to fridge, and resuming the circuit several times over. How are are they? Emily sat at the table, bleary-eyed, as she watched her mother speaking with her aunt. Something good had happened. Based on the bits of conversation she was overhearing, it seemed as though they had found her cousins. She couldn't quite make out what the details were yet, but the relief on her mother's face was enough to, scrolling up, let her know that she didn't need to worry about anything. Didn't need to worry about them anymore. Great. Her mother spoke into the phone, setting it into the crook of her neck and shoulder as she tended to the scrambled eggs that she was creating. Oh dear. Oh, excuse me. Oh boy. Ugh, sneezes. No fun. Alright. When do you think he'll be back home? Great. I forgot what the uncle's name was. Right. How are they getting home? Emily frowned at that. That meant it must have happened to their car. As long as the two men were safe, it would be all good. Not gonna lie, it's trying to be on. Oh! It's amazing that a show went that long. I'll have to check it out sometime. Hello, Gorm. How's it going? Well, as long as the two men were safe, it would all work out in the end. I'm doing pretty good. Allergies are kind of rearing their ugly head today, but other than the occasional sneeze, nothing terrible. Alright. Let's see what's next. Well, as long as the two men are safe, it would all work out in the end. Trying to figure out how to wrap up the story, you know? Her mother offered to her aunt. Over the phone. No. Come my turn. No, that's fine. That makes sense. The young woman frowned. She knew she would be leaving today, but didn't like the reminder that it was going to happen in any case. Hey, Drowning Devil 12, how's it going? Going good? Just vibing? Good, good. Hopefully good vibes. She didn't like the reminder that it was going to happen in any case. Especially since she couldn't resolve her issues with her nightmares. I'm writing a spooky story. Title Nightmare House. Basically just particularly a room in the house that plagues people who sleep in it with nightmares. We're wrapping up the story now today. She knew she'd be leaving today, but don't let them remember that was going to happen in any case, especially since she couldn't resolve her issues with her nightmares. Yeah, thank you. When she looked back to her mother, she saw her staring her with worry in her face. Considering she was relieved for Oscar and Ryan only moments ago, Emily knew that the concern was for her. Yeah. For all of you, like all of you. Mother added to the phone conversation. I'll see you then. I'll see you then. Great. It's fine, Emily said, meekly shaking her head. Sharon, shaking her head to ward off her mother's inevitable questioning. You obviously didn't sleep well last night. Mary Jo commented instead of questioned. More nightmares? This time Emily didn't answer verbally. Instead, she gave a slight nod. Mother hadn't questioned her about the contents of the nightmares before, but today she really didn't want to get into what she had dreamt about. It's interesting. So you have a dream, and then when you talk about what the action of the dream, it's what did you dream about or what have you dreamt about. But if you have a nightmare, it's not what have you nightmared about. English is weird like that. But today she really didn't want to get into what she had dreamt about. Not with either of her parents. Luckily, Mary Jo was not the type to press for answers like that. Is she? I feel like I had her do that earlier in the book, but anyway, it's fine. Let's see. Luckily, Mary Jo was not the type to press for answers like that. Instead, she just stared across the kitchen at her daughter and then shook her head in not giving up, in words are hard. Defeat. Shook her head in defeat. Are you going to be okay driving home? Driving back? Yeah. Emily answered, rolling her shoulders back. That should be fine. It's not like the roads are dangerous. Will there be a lot of people on the roads? Yeah. So, it's pretty much a straight shot between here and the city. Nothing out of the ordinary to worry about. I've driven it hundreds of times at this point. Mary Jo nodded and then put together a plate of food, setting it down in front of Emily. Well, you feel like you need to nap before you go. You can always ask. Always ask. I appreciate it, Emily replied, quite earnestly. She might take her mother up on that offer. Get some good rest in on her. Hey, we hit the goal! On her bed. Get some good rest in. Some good rest in her room. In the meantime, she dug into the breakfast that her mother had conjured up for her. She didn't normally like eggs, but she knew her mother liked to make them, so she had no problem. So she didn't mind eating them as part of a parting meal. So they found the boys? She asked, changing the subject between mouthfuls of food. Scrolling up. Last night I found the boys. She was changing the subject between mouthfuls of food. Yes. Mother, they're affirmed making a plate, making 2 more plates of food, one for herself and one for Dennis. What happened to them? Apparently they were robbed. Apparently they were robbed at one of the clubs. One of the clubs down out west, where there's no by itself on the highway. They were ignored by hitchhikers all day yesterday. They came across 2 people in a park. It's their phones. They were ignored by hitchhikers all day yesterday until they were ignored by hitchhikers. They were ignored by drivers. They walked the highway trying to be hitchhikers, but were ignored by drivers all day yesterday. Apparently, all day yesterday, and the few houses they found, no one opened their doors to them. She shook her head sadly. Alright guys, if you're on Twitch, there will be an ad running in about a minute or 2. Just a heads up for y'all. Alright. Robbed on one of the ones that's by the highway. They walked. Their phones and car were taken. So the 2 of them walked the highway trying to be hitchhikers, but were not. The few houses they found, no one opened their doors to them. She shook her head sadly. It wasn't until they came across a garbage collection truck that they were able to catch a ride to someplace that has a phone. Your uncle is on the way to pick them up now. I really blinked. That must have been. Oh, they were a kiddo. Me too. Mary Jo did. Sitting across from her daughter at the table and setting Dennis's plate at the empty seat. It could have gone so much worse. Emily nodded. Slowly exhaling. The dream she had the other night, the two of them. Nope, a nightmare, gotta mind my words. The two of them did not come to pass at all. There was nothing about a pool or drowning, or the car ending up in someone's pool. She was thankful that her nightmares were only nightmares and nothing else. She decided to relax a bit. She rolled her shoulders again and tilted her head upward toward the ceiling. Above the kitchen was about where her room would be. That and the upstairs portion of this house is too fluid for me, I think. Is her room next to her parents' room, or is it on the opposite side of the hall? That's probably something I'll have to figure out in editing. Figure out and correct in editing, but that's fine. It's fine. Alright. She rolled her shoulders again, tilted above the kitchen was about where her room would be. That and the bathroom. Alright. She contemplated the layout. That's a bit. No, she didn't. In the bathroom. There were no mystical carvings in the wood in her room, or on this ceiling, for that matter. And the saging definitely did not help. It was as if the room was destined to be cursed. And saging definitely did not help. For a moment, when she woke up. Excuse me. She woke up in the middle of the night. For a moment, when she woke up early this morning, she had thought she might have done. Dang it. Gotta hit that button. There we go. She thought she might have done it incorrectly, but there really wasn't a way to mess up burning a bundle of herbs and allowing the smoke to permeate, to flow into each corner of the room. No, it was as if the room was destined to be cursed by whatever was causing the nightmares. Emily didn't doubt that whatever was causing it was paranormal in nature. Since it was impacting other people, Emily didn't doubt that whatever was causing it was paranormal in nature. What was it? Her lips pursed together. It wasn't that carving. It wasn't something that smoked herbs can alleviate. Give me a sec, guys. That's a good one. Sorry, I got a spam text. It wasn't that carving. It wasn't something that smoked herbs could alleviate. But maybe it was. Maybe it did have something to do with energy. Emily closed her eyes and considered for a moment. For her, the grief she had over her grandmother, there started the nightmare, the relentless chain of nightmares, of nightly nightmares. For her, she didn't know what might have caused Julio's nightmare, or even if he really did have one. For all she recalled, he had a weird dream. But Clark, like this, I might edit out because this just feels exposition-y. Just feels like it's too explanatory. But anyway, for all she recalled, she had a weird dream. He had a weird dream in her room. But Clark's was interesting. Apparently, he was going through a divorce. And in his apparently he was going through divorce, and she did not doubt that he had some sort of infatuation with her mother, at least at the time. She was surprised her father didn't murder him yet, but that was beside the point. Alright, so she was surprised that her father, that was beside the point. His nightmare heavily involved her mom. She was certain his life circumstances. Hey look, the word count is a palindrome. And she was certain were a part of that. So, her mother began the conversation again, bringing Emily out of her closed-eyed mental wanderings. So, Emily asked, "Does this mean that you won't be staying in your room again for the foreseeable future?" She tried to keep her voice neutral, but Emily could tell that there was sadness and disappointment in the word. Sadness and disappointment in her tone. Ow, I gotta count my fingers, sorry guys. I'm gonna need to put a band-aid on it later. It's nothing bleeding, but... oh, disappointment. Emily wasn't sure how to Emily wasn't sure how to respond to that. She leaned back in her seat and looked down at her plate. Most of the food was already gone. She had some eggs still left and half a piece of bacon. More surprisingly, she barely touched her coffee that she had poured before she had even sat down. "I'm not sure," she answered honestly. "Mallory, my friend," scrolling up, said that nightmares don't bother her as much. So I'm wondering if she can maybe give me pointers on how to avoid them from bothering me. Yeah, I'll worry about that in editing. She went back in her seat and looked down at her plate. Most of the food was already gone. She had some eggs still left and half a piece of bacon. More surprisingly, she barely touched her coffee. Mallory, my friend, said that nightmares don't bother her as much, so I'm wondering if she maybe if she could maybe give me pointers on how to avoid them from bothering me. About the saging, she thought it might be worth a shot. But it wasn't. Her mother pointed out. Emily shook her head. No, it wasn't. I think for Mallory, it might just be a point of view. A point of view. She has to say when I get back there. Worst case, Dennis said as he came down the stairs to join them, wearing his mechanic uniform of a dingy white shirt and jeans. We'll get you that new mattress. See if we can convert part of the garage into something that you can sleep in. That sounds good. I'm gonna answer and smiling. Why? In our bed when we're not using it. Mary show. Flipped good-naturedly. I love you. Emily answered. And your bed is comfortable, but I'd rather. Smiling. And she blinked. But wait. Isn't that Seymour? Wait, no, I think I said that he's out back. Or that's out back, so I'm gonna not worry about that. I love you. And your bed is comfortable, but I'd rather avoid having to sleep in someone else's bed. I can avoid it. Alright, now here's the tricky part. This is all the points that I wanted to make. We've got to the end, but how do I end it? I was gonna have her do that, like, up here. Her mother winked. Emily smiled and picked up the last piece of bacon. She might not want to live with her family as overbearing as they could be. She might not want to live with her family as numerous and well-intentioned as they could be. But she had to admit that they were nothing but supportive. She began to chew that last piece. And realized that if she had anything to regret, it wasn't that. She had nothing to regret that she moved away from them. It made these visits much sweeter and more memorable. Instead, she was sorry she didn't tell them about the nightmares before. If she had been more forthright about them as a teenager, she could have avoided so many, not all, but many arguments, and they could have begun looking for a solution years ago. They might have found one. They might even have found one by now. They might have even found one by now. Alright, well, I'll pick the last page. She might not want to live with her family as numerous as well as, but she admits that they were nothing Nothing but supportive. Alright. Anyway, kind of want to end with a quip, but at the same time, I don't want to. Yeah, I think this is a good ending. Guys, we finished it. Aren't we proud of each other? All right. Alright, so I'm figuring out what I want to do right now. Like, we could wrap up the stream, but that kind of hurts me in the long run. Yes, I'm being a little bit selfish. Sorry, not sorry in this case. Alright, so we hit our goal. So tomorrow, I think it was Saturday last week too, we are going to go ahead and do a gaming stream. Last week we did Palea. So this week oh, hey, Faye. Sorry. Felt that one coming for a few minutes. Finally came out. Or glad it finally came out. I'm going to put up a poll, one for Twitch, one for YouTube. And I'm going to see, you know, what games do we want to stream? Let's see. We hit another goal. What shall we do in tomorrow's stream? Final Fantasy XIV, Fantasy 14, Leveling Alts, World of Warcraft, Main Story Quest, Main Story, I'm gonna add a third option. I'm gonna leave Palea out of it for now because I like Palea, but I want to try to switch it up. Grand Blue Fantasy. Alright. Hold on. Sorry, things were acting weird on my end. Alright, so we got that. Yeah, we'll just do 3 options. Okay, let me post it on the YouTube side. YouTube doesn't have a timer, so that's why I start here. Start poll. Alrighty. And now let me put up a poll on the Twitchy side of things. Alright, Final Fantasy 14. Leveling alts. Wow. Main story. Or Grand Blue Fantasy. Main story. Story. No. You don't need to do additional votes. I'm surprised it doesn't let you do more than 10 minutes, but it is what it is, I guess. So start that poll. Alright. And we'll see what people vote. Okay, but today we still have 30-ish minutes left. So... let's go back up and we're going to just highlight, we're going to start editing. Why not? We're just going to highlight areas to edit, and then like if grammar and stuff comes up, then we'll do edit of that. But yeah. Let's see, current goal. Oh yeah, let me edit that real quick. First pass. Edit first pass. Okay. I'm also going to turn off the word count because we don't need that anymore. Okay. So, what I think I'm going to do for y'all, and me, now that the rough draft is done, I'm going to put this up in a members only space on Discord. And then that way, if you are a Twitch subscriber, you have access to it. If you're a Ko-fi member, you have access to it. I don't have YouTube membership yet, but that might be an eventual thing too. But basically, you have access to the rough draft. And then as I work on the edits and stuff, basically the edits are going to be its own copy of the page. We are going to go ahead and how to put this? Yeah, basically edits are in its own essentially version of the page. So I'm going to do something real quick. Make a copy. Our house. Rough draft. Make a copy. Alright, so this one is the rough draft. Alright, and I'm just going to double check something, make sure that yeah, just want to make sure that that stuff doesn't get copied up. Cool. Alright. And I am using Google as my document creation. I find it's just easier because if I feel like writing on the go, I've got my phone with me. So that's why. But yeah, we are going to just write. I don't currently have like sticky notes for edits or colors, so like red means this, blue means that. But we're just going to go at it. Chapter 1. And then after this edit pass, so after we edit all 19 chapters, future edits will be done by me off screen, and then I will publish the story for like 99 cents on my Ko-fi page. Just a heads up. Nightmare House, I guess. By Onia. We're going to do caveat. I don't like it. I like, we'll just go with Pacifica. And you. And just make you a couple size smaller. been a minute. Most of my books that I've listened to, or most books that I've read, are audiobooks. I'll have to grab a book and see how the title page is. Anyway, but yeah, we'll just highlight this for formatting. The thick, viscous red liquid pooled down the wooden walls, covering her hand that was brushing along its surface. Emily's eyes shot open, her breath nearly catching in her throat each time she gulped for air. The room around her was dark, and she could only discern the outlines thanks to the streetlight a few houses down. Nothing was out of place, so here. I wish I could have, like, Google Docs just go, like, you know how Google Docs will sometimes autocorrect things? I wish it would just do an auto pass where either you can say, I want double space, or I don't want double space. Because I grew up doing double space, and so the single space, I'm getting better. I'm much better at the single space, but it's a struggle. She reached a shaky hand to her chest, still struggling to ease herself from the terror of the nightmare. Another nightmare. It had been so long since she had them, and yet once she was back here... We're gonna ... that. She closed her eyes again, and the wet and rough sensations came rushing back to her fingertips. I'm gonna just highlight this. Here, I want to do this. Nope. Formatting. Review, revise. So formatting is going to be this pinky color. Review, revise is going to be that. Confirm details for... Oh shoot, what's the phrase? You want to make sure that's being... Continuity. Continuity, review. Verbiage, continuity review. We'll make you green. Okay. I kind of wish I could, like, grab this and put it off to the side for my own, like, personal notepad, but that's fine. She closed her eyes again. And the wet... I'm gonna actually make this all. And the wet and rough sensations came rushing back, as if warding her away from falling back into the dream world. Having a difficult time trying to keep her breath steady, Emily opened her eyes again, and she reached up to the device on her bedstand. Yeah, I didn't name that then either. Okay. Oh no, she did name it Allie. Allie, lights on. You got it. Lights on. Came the female robotic voice, followed by the two Wi-Fi enabled lights fading into luminescence. Emily squinted a bit as her eyes adjusted to the new light, but was finally able to let out a long exhale as her body calmed down from the dream. As her body began to calm down from the dream. Pushing herself up into a sitting position, the young woman surveyed the room. It hadn't changed much at all since she left for college, nearly 6 years ago. The walls were still painted a periwinkle color, almost like the shade of the sky, and the furniture all had a floral motif carved into the wood, a gift from her late grandmother. Although the paint on the flowers had faded over time, Emily still managed to give a small smile at the main reminder of her deceased grandparent. I think I'm going to highlight this one. Like, I like it, but small smile. Really? It was a comfort after experiencing the horror of a nightmare. A small shudder ran, a small involuntary shudder ran down her body. Let's see. The comfort was brief and gone all too soon. The feeling of dread and horror began to come back and threatened to overtake her senses. Calm down, she whispered to herself. She started to close her eyes, but did not complete the action, leaving them half-lidded, allowing a tiny fraction of the bright yellow light to be visible through her lids and lashes. Without shutting her eyes fully, without shutting her eyes fully, she hoped to prevent the visuals of the nightmare from returning to her mind's eye. The memories still tried to push forward, but Emily kept reminding herself that's all it was. Memories of her nightmare, nothing more. It was a nightmare. It was not real. It cannot do more than just make me afraid. Once I conquer this fear, I will conquer the nightmare. Oh yeah. With the mantra repeat in her head, she began to try to control her breathing once more. 5 seconds in through the nose, 5 seconds out through the mouth. 6 seconds in through the nose, 6 seconds out through the mouth. This was a technique she learned from her friend Mallory prior to her coming back home. Mallory and Emily were thick friends, having met in their second year of college and hitting off well and becoming nearly inseparable ever since. Although they had graduated and gone on with their respective lives in separate cities within the same state, she had remained close and had a monthly dinner where they would meet and catch up. So, I'm also going to do this. Details needed. Periwinkle. Well, I don't think it's periwinkle. Alright, so we're going to make you green. Alright, separate cities within the same... I need to figure out what cities and states they live in. Even if it's make-believe, I still need to figure that out. During the latest dinner where Emily had informed Mallory that she was returning home Thanksgiving weekend. So we kind of have a mix of purple and whatever here, but I think I'm just going to make you purple. Emily shook her head, brushing a piece of brunette hair that fell into her face from motion. Yeah, still need to read it, even if its formatting is kind of weird. Emily shook her head, brushing back a piece of brunette hair that fell into her face from the motion. I don't think I've ever been back to that home since I went to college, she admitted. That long? Mallory asked, surprised. I mean, Emily began to clarify with a shrug as she picked up her drink and began to swirl the straw within in a circle. So many unnecessary words. I've been back to visit for holidays and all that. I think we're just going to highlight the entire paragraph. I'll just make it an excuse to visit all my other relatives as well, so I'd stay for their place for the duration. You used your family as an excuse to not see your family? Mallory inquired, both curiously and accusatory at the same time. Not really. Maybe. Yeah. Emily began to protest, but changed her mind on that line of questioning rather quickly. I thought you said your parents were amazing. Why would you do all that to avoid them? To avoid staying with them? It's not that I don't want to be around them. I spent almost all my time back at home with them, unless it was time to, sleep. Then I go back to my aunt's or my cousin's and sleep there, only to wake up and go to my parents again in the morning. Okay. That sounds like a lot of work. It was, Emily admitted. Then why go through all of that? Honestly? She asked, as much to herself as to her friend, and then began to answer without even registering that her friend had nodded. I think I'm just afraid to sleep there. dark, scary room or something? Or something. Emily got shivers just recalling her childhood room. What is it? It's dumb. I feel like I want to rework this. It's dumb, and honestly part of the reason why I'm going to stop crashing on my relatives' couches is because I'm pretty sure it's all mental. What is it? Mallory just flatly asked her. Stop dancing around the thing that's bothering you. I never got a good night's sleep in that house, Emily admitted, a twinge of a frown tugging the corner of her mouth down as she tried to recall her teenage years in the home. I'm gonna rework it. It does come up a lot, though, so I kind of want it to be a recurring thing. I want to say I would always have a nightmare or something that kept me from sleeping. It was so bad I couldn't wait to get out of the house for college. Not a single night of sleep? Not that I can remember. That's part of the reason why I think it's time to go back. Because there's a good chance that if it's all just me being afraid of a few bad nights, and that I should be fine, really. Mallory nodded slowly in thought. Well, you know it's all in your head already. All you've got to do then is just make sure you don't get the nightmare. Or if you do, Or if you do, figure out what prompted it and avoid that on your other nights. Basically, most of the time, nightmares is because of the food that we eat. She finished that statement by chomping into a ketchup-soaked French fry. Excuse me? Emily chuckled at her best friend's statement and nodded. I think I've heard of that too. Just don't forget to breathe, Mallory said matter-of-factly, as she swirled another fry into the ketchup on her plate. I think that's what freaks most people out after a nightmare, is that they don't concentrate on the breath. That sort of stuff can lead to people thinking they've got sleep paralysis and all that stuff. I don't think that's ever been a problem for me, Emily stated, picking up her chicken sandwich and taking a bite herself. Good. Then hopefully it'll just let you settle down again so you can get right back to sleep. Emily allowed her... Purple. Emily allowed her eyes to close as that memory finished playing through her mind. Her breath was slow and controlled now. She didn't feel like she was afraid anymore. There was nothing in her room with her, and she fully recognized that, as disturbing as those mental images were, that's all they were, mental images. They couldn't hurt her. She opened her eyes again and looked around her room. Periwinkle walls, faded floral furniture. Her bedstand held her automation Okay. Details. Oh, wait. Yeah. Let's scroll up here. And on its face it read 3:36. She let out another slow exhale. Why couldn't the nightmares happen at the start or the end of the night? Why did they have to occur in the middle of the night, when it's too early to feasibly start any sort of day and too late to go through a whole new bedtime routine? This is why she got terrible nights of sleep as a teenager. The nightmares had no consideration for her routine. Dang it. You look positively tired, Mary Jo commented as her daughter Emily trudged down the stairs. The older woman was reclined in a corner of the faded sage couch, newspaper in hand. Rough night? Also going to... I don't think I've got a description of Mary Jo anywhere. Emily looked over at her mother, blinked her bleary eyes twice, let out a yawn, and then finally answered. I couldn't sleep, she said, yawn lingering in her voice. Everything all right? Her mother sat up. The room wasn't too warm or anything, was it? I tried to make sure the blinds were closed before you got here, but maybe it was still letting in too much heat through those windows. She paused, musing in thought. That's weird. We can't afford to replace those windows right now, so it's the best that we can do. And if that's not enough... Mom, no. Emily cut her off. The room temperature was fine. Not too warm, not too cold. I was comfortable with the air. And the sheets. And the bed. She yawned again. She trailed off, not really wanting to admit having the nightmare. Her mother prodded into her, finishing her thoughts. Sorry, tired. She half excused her trailing off. I just had a bad dream, I guess. Too much to eat before bed? Her mother offered. Stifling a chuckle at the same worry Mallory offered before her trip. Emily shook her head. No, I don't think that's it. I barely ate last night, remember? Oh, right. Her mother nodded, glancing over her shoulder into the kitchen. I ended up having to put your portion into a container as leftovers. You really didn't eat anything else? She asked, looking back at her daughter, her brows furrowing with ever-increasing concern. No, I didn't eat anything else, Emily answered, with another shake of her head. I really wasn't hungry. Maybe that's why you didn't sleep well. Instead of being too full, you were too empty. I doubt it, Emily answered slowly, knowing exactly where her mother would be taking this discussion next. Are you feeling otherwise unwell? Not eating and then not sleeping really isn't good for the human body. Mom, I'm fine, the brunette assured her mother with a weak smile. I just didn't have an appetite last night because of the late lunch. The sleep thing is probably because I'm not used to my bedroom. I'm sure it will get better in time, she lied. If you're sure, her mother conceded, her concern still evident on her face. Very sure, Emily stated firmly. Probably the most firm statement she made in the entire morning. Then changing the topic to something that might worry her mother a little less, she asked, yeah, I think I'm gonna just work on that right now. And still highlight this, because that was weird. Still feels weird, even with the change. What's for breakfast? Excuse me. Blinking, her mother stood from the couch and set down the paper. I hadn't thought about that. What do you want? I'll make it. Although she really just wanted some coffee, she knew that after the conversation they just had, her mother was not going to let her get away with a small meal. I like that too. Can you make some pancakes? And do we have any sausage? No sausage, her mother pursed her lips in thought. But we have bacon. Does pancake and bacon... Do pancakes and bacon sound good to you? Thank you, Google. Sounds perfect, Emily stated, a forced smile on her face. Mary Jo brushed her way past Emily into the kitchen, her face already a look of determination, as she no doubt pictured what she needed to do in order to make a meal that she hadn't made in years. You want to highlight that because if she's a cooker, she's probably made it a few times. Do you want eggs? She called out over her shoulder. Emily followed her mother into the kitchen, making her way to the coffee maker. It already had some coffee in it, although it was barely enough for a cup. Nah, she answered, picking up the carafe and cleaning it out. Just the pancakes and bacon will do. You don't have to go overboard on my behalf, she stated. While proceeding to make a fresh batch of coffee, her mother pulled out... Yeah... let's see. Well, Emily was proceeding to make a fresh batch of coffee. Her mother pulled out a couple of frying pans and began to make the promised meal. The two women worked silently together for a brief bit before her mother cleared her throat. It's been a while, hasn't it? She said softly, a few tones above being inaudible. Highlight that. What has? Emily asked, looking over at her mother as she pressed the button to get the coffee maker started. Us eating breakfast together like this. She turned and gave her daughter an awkward smile. Mom, I have breakfast with you and Dad almost every time I come down here, Emily protested. Not like this, though. Okay, see. Details. You're usually at Aunt Carol's or Cousin Mitchell's, and by the time you've come for breakfast, you're showered and put together, and we've had time to wake up and clean up. This, she motioned toward Emily and then back to herself. Both women were wearing loungewear and had unkempt hair. This we haven't done since the day we moved into that college dorm of yours. The young woman wasn't quite sure what to say. She stood there, blinking. I'm just saying, Mary Jo continued, a flush coming to her cheeks that she tried to hide by turning back to the stovetop. I'm going to highlight this. I like it because I felt this in conversations with my own child. But at the same time, if I'm editing most of this other stuff out, then that probably won't stay in. I'm just saying, Mary Jo continued, a flush coming to her cheeks that she tried to hide by turning back to her stovetop. It's been a while since we've had a relaxed morning like this. I've missed this with you. Apologies should have been the first thing on Emily's mind. But instead of trying to make her mother feel better for her avoidance all these years, she kept flashing back to exactly why she didn't want to come back to the situation. Kind of a long sentence, but I don't hate it. I'm going to keep this up. Oh, well, we'll finish this chapter out and then we'll check the poll results. This morning was fine and comforting. Yeah, that's kind of... But to endure This morning was fine and comforting, but to endure nightmares and visions of horrifying elements in order to get the comfortable morning, that's not something Emily was willing to put herself through. She also wasn't ready to tell her mom all of that either. Instead, she swallowed and crossed the room to wrap her mom up in a hug from behind. Sorry, she mumbled. In her arms, she could feel her mother tremble. Then, a warm droplet hit her exposed arm. It's fine, Mary Jo answered in another hushed voice that came out almost forced. Mom? Emily asked, withdrawing the hug and stepping back. I said it's fine, Mary Jo replied again, this time with more determination in her voice. It was her turn to trail off while looking for the appropriate words to say. I've just missed this. Frowning, Emily looked toward the coffee pot. It wasn't even nearly a quarter full yet. She would need a lot of coffee to wake up, and she didn't want to stumble on her next words to her mother. But she really didn't... Okay, we're going to want to edit this. But she really didn't have time for that moment. Or that at the moment either. Pretty soon, her father would be coming down the stairs, and he didn't have time for sentimentality like this moment that they were having. Alright, we're going to edit that too. Alright, Twitch watchers, there will be an ad coming up in about 5 minutes, just so that you guys are aware. I've missed this too, Emily admitted. I'm sorry I haven't been staying here while visiting. She finally apologized. It's fine. Her mother shook her head again, raising a hand to her face. Emily wasn't able to get a good view of it, but she imagined her mother was wiping her tears away. No, it's not, Emily argued, stepping around her mother's side so she could at least get a good look at part of her mother's face. Yeah, so she did that, but, like, there's no details about what's going on with her mother's face. Green is... Continuity review, okay. Okay. I know I've been saying that visiting family is important, and I agree. But if I had realized that this was going to make you cry, I would have... She'd paused. She didn't want to lie to her mother, since she certainly would not have thought twice about hiding from the bedroom that caused her nightmares. Yeah, we're gonna mark you for rework. I would have done something different. Like staying with us when you came home to visit, her mother asked, confused, turning to look at her. Do you really not like sleeping under our roof that much? If only her mother knew. It's not that. I love you and Dad, and you know it. Sorry. I love you and Dad, and you know it. I've always had a hard time sleeping here. You have? Her mother blinked, shocked at the latest information that her daughter had shared with her. Alright. Highlighting you. Yes, Emily admitted. She wasn't about to divulge the nightmares, but she was ready to let some of the information be known. That's why I had a rough time in school, and why you always kept nagging at me about chores. I was always tired because I couldn't sleep well. I thought you knew that. I like this whole phrase, but maybe that doesn't need to be a question mark. Actually, you know what? That doesn't need to be a question mark. I can go ahead and yoink that. Haha, I thought you knew that. In honesty, Emily wasn't sure if she ever told her mother about the difficulty sleeping and the nightmares, or if she just presumed that her parents should know and just didn't care. I think we'll make that together. At the moment, however, it felt right to at least let her know something, or let her know about the sleeping difficulties. Mary Jo shook her head, her tear-streaked face still in shocked confusion about the latest revelation. I'm gonna mark you for review. I'm actually gonna mark this for format review. I don't hate it as separate and I don't hate it as all together either, but I want to take a look. Mary Jo shook her head, her tear-streaked face still in shocked confusion about the latest revelation. No, I honestly thought you were just going through a phase that you would eventually grow out of. She gulped. Emily, if you had issues... Emily, if you had issues sleeping since way back then, and we're going to rewind and freeze that anyway, you should have let us know. We could have figured out something to get that resolved so you didn't have to suffer. Alright, the entire thing. Emily briefly bit her lip and nodded. I know, she said. I know now. I just don't think I had any idea then. Well, after breakfast, her mother slowly mused as she turned back to the oven to flip some pancakes. We'll go up to the room. We'll go up to the room and see what we can do to make it more comfortable for you to sleep in, she said before adding, it could help when we have guests, too. Guests? Emily asked curiously. We've hosted a couple of guests in the time you've gone off to college, since we had a spare room with your absence. A couple family friends, my cousin Marie. Nothing crazy. They've only stayed once though, so your room got used a total of, she calculated in her head, 4 times. Do they have trouble sleeping in my room? Emily asked, genuinely curious. A shrug was all that Mary Jo returned to Emily. I don't think they mentioned any issues with your room. Clark said he had issues. Dennis, a tall, balding man dressed in a royal blue robe, along with red and black plaid pants, stated as he walked from the stairwell into the kitchen. He did? Both Mary Jo and Emily turned to him, surprised. Going down. What kind of nightmare did he have? Emily asked. Dennis shrugged and went to the coffee pot, emptying some of the 3/4 full content into a mug that he always kept available on the counter. That's not what I wanted. I didn't ask. He just said he had the worst nightmare sleeping there. and asked to crash on the couch. Clark's one of the family friends. No, I think that works. Mary Jo made sure to inform Emily, who had already figured that out. She then turned to Dennis. I didn't realize he ended up on the couch. I didn't tell you, he shrugged. That was when you had that thing going on with your stomach and you didn't need any additional stress. Don't worry, I made sure to fully wash the cushions and all that when he left. Mary Jo made a sour face at her husband before turning back to the food on the stove. Well, food's almost ready. Get some plates and let's sit down to eat. We're going to spend the morning working on M's room to make it cozier for people to sleep in. Yes, ma'am, Dennis obliged his wife. Alright, so that's a good point. Oh, yeah, that's actually a good point overall. I didn't realize how late it had gotten. Let's see. It is 4:56. We've edited 2 chapters. We'll continue editing tomorrow. So good for us. And let's see, what are the results of the poll? No votes in Twitch. No votes on YouTube. You guys. Alright, it's fine. It's fine. It doesn't look like there's very many people watching currently anyway. So, it is what it is. So I'll figure something out overnight, and it'll be a surprise when I go live tomorrow. Alright, but for now, you know, historically, as in this last week or so, I've been pushing it until the cutoff time, but because we're editing, I prefer to go chapter by chapter. So right now we're going to go ahead and actually end it now. So I do want to thank you all so much for joining me today. For those of you that stayed and chatted a little bit, thank you for chatting with me. Make sure, if you're on YouTube, to do the like and subscribe-y things. If you're on Twitch, go ahead and throw me a follow. And I will see you guys next time. Thanks for joining. Bye.